Hey everyone, it's Tender and welcome to my video about the Nightblade tank for the Endless Archive. So this is the tank I use if I'm running with someone with a DPS. So I'm just gonna go over the build, the gear mostly and the skills. Unfortunately I don't have footage. I wanted to do a montage with footage, but my PS5 is broken and I can't do that at the moment. So I'm just going to show you what I have and go from there. Just keep in mind that this is a build that's going to benefit a lot from the extended favor revision that increases the duration of your buffs and debuffs. So that's your priority, is extended favor. Yeah, so on my main bar I have Vrol. Lightning staff, you should use the ice staff if you have it. I actually don't have it. It's one of the last pieces I'm missing from kyne's aegis. So Vrol the staff should be infused with a weakening enchantment, and so what it does, it gives major aegis for 12 seconds. But if you have extended favor, this will be extended significantly. So you will have this buff of reduce your damage taken by 10%. Extended, like I think I get it close to like 40 seconds with 4 extended favors, so it's pretty good. So yeah, this should be ideally an ice staff. Lightning staff is fine, but you should in this case block on your back bar. So on my back bar I have an ice staff of roaring opportunist, infused. I use a hardening enchantment, but you can use something else if you prefer. So sorry, I'm just gonna go on the bar. So for this set, what it does is it gives you and your ally Major Slayer, so it gives 10% more damage to arena bosses and monster. Max duration of 12 seconds, but again, I'm at 10 seconds with this build, but again it goes like close to like 40 seconds with the extended favor. And then for my monster set, so my monster set is a bit like the traits are a bit silly, but I'm using, so you can use one reinforced heavy head and one medium shoulder in sturdy. I don't know, it was just a bit, I don't know why this is even in this trait, but yeah, you can use one heavy reinforced and one sturdy medium. So this set, it will give major vulnerability to the enemies when you do a heavy attack. So like our two other sets, it procs with heavy attacks, and again the major vulnerability will be benefiting from extended favor. So that's what I use for my monster set. I use one piece trainee chest to reinforce for more health, and I use one light roaring opportunist sash on the belt in sturdy. I also so I have Vrol body, so I have the gauntlets and the feet. You can use both in sturdy. I have one well fitted, but you can use them both in sturdy. And I also have one reinforced esoteric environment greaves. This is a mythic that reduces your direct damage taken by 50% when you're over 50% stamina. It also drains your stamina a bit, but it doesn't really matter. Like you're not gonna feel it too much if you get used to the build. And for the jewelry, I'm used one Vrol neck and 2 roaring opportunist ring. So I'm using 2 protective, 1 infused. You could go with 3 protective depending on your race. So I'm a dark elf, which is not really the best, but this is my main character. I'm not gonna race change it. You could go Breton or Nord. So yeah, I use the multi-effect enchantment with regen, so it gives me regen. Again, you could change this. You could use other enchantments if you prefer. This is just how I like to play it. And I use 1 infuse with reduced cost of abilities, so health, magic, and stamina cost infused. So I get a bit more out of that enchantment. So now I'm just gonna go over the skills. So again, this is a build that relies a lot on heavy attacks. There's some, there's like a good bonus for heavy attacks in terms of vision in the archive as well that you should take, that puts a dot on your enemies like a bleed. It's really good. So for the archive, so something you should know, like the best 2 skills from the Nightblade to bring in the archive are mass hysteria and power extraction. This is because the adds will get their damage, like the damage they're doing will be reduced if you debuff their weapon damage. So for power extraction, we get minor cowardice that reduces weapon and spell damage by 215, and then mass hysteria is major cowardice. So they stack, and they're both a major and minor. They're both a debuff, major and minor effect. So they will both benefit from extended favor, and they will make it so that you can go far in the archive, especially if you get the attuned enchantment vision as well, which will increase the potency of your enchantment, so you will reduce their damage even more. And yeah, this is the sort of the secret how to go far in the archive on the Nightblade, and on other classes as well. But I think the Nightblade's a little underrated for the free major cowardice. Then the next skills I have, I would say, is very kind of essential, is relentless focus. You can use the magicka more, so you can use merciless resolve. I like relentless because it gives me more weapon and spell damage, and also it's disease damage. So if I end up having a lot of focused effort vision, I can proc a disease status effect from it. I don't know. I just like the stamina one. I don't really use it that much. I mostly, sometimes use it, but I just keep it for the buff to my weapon damage, so I can heal myself more on my back bar. Another skill that is good to have is Lotus Fan. Lotus Fan is nice. It gives you mobility, and it also puts minor vulnerability on enemies. Again, that's a minor effect, so it will benefit from extended favor. You can also use elemental susceptibility. But yeah, so this is a breach skill. I highly recommend that you run with a DD that's using major breach. Like that's putting caltrops on the ads, because you're not really gonna be able to put this on every ad and take all the aggro and debuff everything. Like, you're just not really gonna have time. But it's still good to have on your bar for bosses, especially if you get a lot of extended favor vision again, because you're gonna be able to do a lot of DPS with this skill. And finally for the ultimate, I mean, this is not this is not the maybe not the best ultimate, but I'm using shooting star at the moment because it increases my magicka and gives me some regen, and it's a little bit of damage, and it gives me ultimate back. But yeah, this is, you could use something else. One skill that is nice when you're in a stationary fight, I find, is Veil of Blades, because it gives major protection when you stand in it. And it's a nice dot and nice sort of reduce enemy movement speed. So yeah, it's a good potential good ultimate. Um, but you could use also other whatever whatever you want for ultimate. I just like this one and this one on my back bar. So this is a really good skill in my opinion for this build. So it's so you have to remember that it lasts for 20 seconds. So the 20, because if you get a lot of extended favors, you'll see that um, it's gonna, like, your timer is gonna be off. It's gonna say that it's there for like a minute, but it's not. Like the major evasion is gonna be there, and the minor resolve, but the benefit of this skill is kind of like the reduced roll dodge roll, sorry, my accent, roll dodge cost. So you can reduce your roll dodge up to 100%, so you can have free roll dodge. And it, so I think it's nice with you know, the mythic that I'm using, because you're taking direct damage and you're like sort of like buffing yourself with this skill at the same time. Also increases your resistance, and major evasion is really a must in the archive. Next skill, I use refreshing path for major expedition is nice. Also the minor regions are nice, and of course you get a bit of a heal over time. Finally, the third skill, not finally, but yeah, the third skill I use, you can use this one, or you could, depending, like if you're running with a warden, you could, I would go with, honestly, would go with Dark Shade. Dark Shade is nice because it gives minor maim, and it it will sort of tell you the right timer for your others, your mirage on your back bar. But yeah, I use this for minor breach and also for the shield, and it's a little bit of damage. You can spam it for more DPS. I also use Dark Cloak, which is a nice heal over time. If you stay still, it heals you more, and it gives you minor protection. And it's a shadow ability, so it gives you major resolve. And finally, so I have this on my bar at the moment. This is a potential taunt that you can use. This The problem with clench is that it immobilizes your enemy, so if you're trying to stack them, you better to go with inner fire, or oh, sorry, I don't think I've ever morphed this skill, but yeah, the magic one, you want to use the magic one. So inner rage or inner fire, like, I don't know, it's like a synergy, like guaranteed synergy if you use. So you could use this instead of clench, especially on ad pulls, because if you're trying to stack them, we don't have a chain, we don't, you know, I'm not gonna, it doesn't work with Fighters Guild chain, this build, because you need your stamina. So I like Inner Rage for stacking the ads and taking aggro. And finally, I use Barrier. Barrier gives you some regen. It's a nice heal over time. And it's also sort of, you know, if you have to res your dead DPS, you're often going to need the Barrier. Not always, but yeah. So yeah, that's it for the skills, there's some flexibility. Obviously, you can use orb, you can use, you could even try to do more DPS with some of the Nightblade skills, but this is really like the sort of debuff tank with extended favor build that I like to use. So for my buff food, I'm using smoke bear haunch. I'm a dark elf. You could put everything into health. I just like to have a little bit of magicka on this build. And honestly, like if you debuff your odds right, like with these two skills, you're not gonna take a lot of damage, but the trick will be to put the debuffs on everybody. That's gonna be a bit of a learning curve if you're not used to it. And you're gonna feel the difference when your enemies are in debuff. So you will learn quickly, hopefully. The Mundus, I mean, I like serpent because it's good to have stem regen. But honestly, like I used like really silly Mundus stones on this build, and it was still fine, like a DPS Mundus. Yeah. For my CP, I use Ironclad, which reduces my direct damage taken even more. Enduring Resolve. On the syllable, you could use Duelist Rebuff on top of it. I have Arcane Supremacy for some reason, because I like to have a bit more magicka. But yeah, you could go with this CP too. And in my red CP, I'm just gonna show you like this. I have Slippery because I'm just like lagging and freezing a lot in the archive, and this can sometimes come in handy if I don't have to break free myself. And then Juggernaut is good to have, especially if you get the vision that increases your CC immunity, which I always forget the name, and I wrote it down so that I could remember it, but I can't find where I wrote it down, so sorry. Sorry, it's called Resolute Mind. Yeah. And finally, I have Fortified for more armor and Boundless Vitality. You could go with Rejuvenation depending on your race and your traits and stuff. You just want to get as close to possible as resistance cap, which is like 32k, 32 point something. So I'm at like 30k-ish, so that's honestly good enough. Most of the time I'm not even blocking, like I'm just kind of running around, debuffing, fearing, and yeah, I'm just, so I use this build when I get to Arc 7. Like I said, you can use it earlier if you're running with a DD and you both need to feel a bit more safe. And usually I run a stem blade build until the end of Arc 6, because I like to suffer and make things hard for myself. And I also just really like this blade. I think Nightblade has been left aside in endgame PvE, and I like to play it. And this is one way I think it can be really useful in the archive. And it's not like maybe not an easy, I don't know, but it can be a fun challenge and a very useful ally, in my opinion. So yeah, thanks for watching, and if you have any questions or if I forgot something, you can let me know in the comments. Just be nice, please. And yeah, take care. Thanks for watching.